Multiply Fractions 5.3 in the book. This is page 243. Not 5 point, page 5. It's 5.3, lesson 5.3 in the book, page 243. So please look along with me as we go through. Multiplying fractions is different than adding. You do not have to get common denominators, so that makes it a little bit easier. Our vocabulary, again, we have a numerator over the denominator in the fraction. And let's go right into the key concept box. Here it is. To multiply fractions, the product of two or more fractions is equal to the product of the numerators divided by the product of the denominators. Now here's how I read that. The numerator, you have a numerator over a denominator times a numerator over a denominator. The answer is numerator times numerator over denominator times denominator. So you just multiply, in other words, top times top, bottom times bottom. So here's some numbers. 3/4 times 5/8. That would be 15 over 32. Top times top, bottom times bottom. Okay, algebra would be A over B times C over D. So A times C over B times D. Top times top, bottom times bottom, or numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So let's do some. Here we go. We do the same thing with the negatives. So I see two negatives. I'm going to treat the negatives individually. Two negatives make a positive, so I know my answer is going to be positive. And it's just top times top. 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 times 3 is 15. So 4/15 is my answer. You always simplify if possible, and we don't need to simplify. So we are done. Okay, now I want to show you something on this one. There's two ways to look at this. You can multiply first and then simplify second, or you can do what's called canceling out. So let's go ahead and multiply. First off, there's a negative and a positive, so I know the answer is going to be negative. Top times top, that's 15. 3 times 5 is 15, and then 10 times 6 is 60. But I can see I can reduce out a 5 at least. I would get negative 3 over 12. And look, I could still take out another 3, so it would be negative 1/4. So that would be my final answer. I'd have to simplify it all the way down. But another way to do it, instead of having to divide at the end, is to cancel out at the beginning. Now you can only cancel across like an X or straight up and down. So you can look at the 3 and the 10. There's nothing that goes into 3 and 10. There's nothing that goes into 5 and 6. But look at the 3 and the 6. You say, hey, 3 can go into both of those. So you take it. Let me erase my marks that I made there. So if I erase this, maybe. Hello, erase. Doesn't really want to erase. So I go 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 2 times. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 10 2 times. So now top times top would be 1, which is what we got, and then 2 times 2 is 4, negative 1/4. So it's easier to do the canceling. It's called canceling, cross-canceling, before you multiply. And we'll practice that in the rest of the examples as we go through it. And that's what they did. It just makes it so much easier. Okay, so guided practice. Here we go. So first off, I look at the negatives and the positives. There's one negative, so I know the answer is negative. So let's do some canceling. 5 and 10. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 10 2 times. And please, you have to write the problems out in order to cancel, so show me that. And then 9 and 12. What can go into 9 and 12? 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 12 4 times. So 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 2 is 8. The answer is negative 3/8. Okay, that's it. That's all there is to it. So we look, two negatives make a positive, so I know the answer is positive. And let's see, 6 and 7, nothing cancels. 9 and 5, nothing cancels. So we just have to multiply. 35 over 54. And boy, it sure looks like something goes into those, but I don't think there is. I think if you can't cancel, I think we're done. That's it. Ooh, how about the 6 and the 12? 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 12 two times, so it's going to be 2/17. There's doing the canceling. We got a negative, so we know the answer is going to be negative. And let's see, 3 can go into 12 4 times, and 3 can go into 15 5 times. So 35 over 4, and 4 goes into 35, 7, 8, which is 32, 8 and 3/4. Helps to know your facts, goes quick. Alright, example number 2, postcards. It says, a postcard is 5.5 inches long and 3 3/4 inches wide. Find the area of the postcard. Okay, so it's rectangular, so area is length times width. So we're going to take the length of the postcard times its width. So that is 5 1/2 times 3 3/4. Now here's the deal with this. I wish we could just multiply those numbers out just like they are, but you have to make them fractions. There has to be a numerator only and a denominator only. So this mixed number needs to be switched to an improper fraction, and so does this one. I call that half circle thing where you multiply and then add. So you take 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And then you do the same thing over here. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15 over 4. And then you multiply. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Well, nothing can cancel. So I'm going to get an 8 on the bottom. And 15 times 11, 165. And we can't leave it like that, so we have to divide that out. 8 goes into 165 2 times exact. For the 16, bring the 5 down. 8 won't go into 5, so we put a 0. 20 and 5/8 square inches. Write them as improper fractions. Look, I almost did it right on the same spot. There we go. Yay. And then we have some fractions. It says evaluate x squared y when x is -4/5 and y is 2/3. Okay, so we got this is x squared and this is for y. So I'm going to put in -4/5 and then 2/3. So remember, order of operations, you do the exponent first. So we're going to take -4/5 squared. So that's -4/5 times -4/5. 2 negatives make a positive. That's going to be 16 over 25. Then I have to times it by the 2/3, and I can't cancel anything. So it's going to be 32 over 75. And then we're done. So they're substituting them in, which is what we did. They put them all together. I just do them one at a time. Look, and we got the same answer. So, all right. So we cannot multiply with mixed numbers, so we have to change those over. So 5 times 1 plus 2, 7/5 times 6 7/2. We can't cancel anything, so I get 49 over 10. 10 goes into 49 4 times, which is 40, and 9/10 left over. 4 9/10. Again, we can't do with the mixed numbers, we can't do those that way, so we have to go 10 11 halves, -6 11 sixths. A negative means the answer is negative. 11 times 11 is 121 over 12. And 12 into 121 goes once. 10, because it won't go into 1. 12 won't go into 1. 10 and 1/12. And there was a negative, so -10 and 1/12. 23 over 4, and it's negative, times 10, 11, 12, 13 over 5. Wow, they're not letting us cancel very much, are they? We know it's negative. I know the bottom's 20, but I don't know what 23 times 13 is. 299. 20 into 299 goes once, which is 20. 99 goes 4 times, which is 80, and 19. 14 and 19 20ths, negative 14 and 19 20ths. Let's see what happens here. Yep. Wow, another one. Okay, negative, let's see, that's 6 7/3 times negative 3/4. Okay, two negatives make a positive. The 3's cancel out. So it's just going to be 7/4, which is 1 and 3/4. Okay, so put in the x. So 2/3 times x. And x is negative 3/4. It's just up here. A negative and a positive make a negative. The 3's cancel out. So I have 2/4, which is negative 1/2. 2 times y, so 2 is like 2 over 1. Y is 5/6. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 6 3 times, so that's going to be 5 over 3, 1 and 2/3. X times y, so negative 3/4 times 5/6. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 6 2 times. You can't cancel straight across. So negative 5/8. Is that what it was? Yep. Another one. Okay, I'm going to put parentheses in for these because I got to remember what's squared. X is negative 3/4 and 5/6. Okay, you have to do what's squared first, so you have to do 5/6 times 5/6, which is 25/36 times negative 3/4. Know the answer is negative. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 36 12 times. 25 over 12 times 4 is 48. It's just a matter of writing everything out and just go step by step. Alright, so remember multiplying top times top, bottom times bottom, and as always, reduce your answers. Be careful of the signs. See you next time.